Welcome! This is Angop's International Highlight. In this edition, we'll cover the independence referendum in Scotland. More than 4 million people in Scotland registered to vote in the independence referendum on Thursday, 18th of September 2014. Residents older than 16 turned out to respond yes or no to the question, should Scotland be an independent country? Would the yes win, a process would have started leading to the disappearance from the UK in its current form and the emergence of a new European nation. From the Queen's Hall to the nuclear forces, including the immigration policy, all would undergo a redefinition. In the face of such a scenario, the BBC Spanish service looked into the key issues brought forward by independent Scotland. How and when would the independence be declared? The proposed date would have been the 24th of May 2016. The purpose would be the winning time to negotiate the key issues with the London government. On the other hand, the deadline would enable the election for the Scottish Parliament, set for the 5th of May 2016, to become the first great suffrage of an independent parliament. Those who stood for the yes said 18 months was reasonable and suggested not everything could be settled before the declaration of independence. They took the example of Czech Republic and Slovakia, where many details were finalized after the separation. What about the flag? The current British flag, known as Union Jack, brings together three saints of England, of Scotland and Ireland. The Flag Institute, a cultural organization, stated it received several proposals for a new flag. Some suggested, for example, the Wales dragon symbol should be incorporated in case of an eventual separation of Scotland. But the idea to give such a highlight to a symbol much loved by 3 million Scottish might not please 53 million Britain people. What to call the United Kingdom? But experts said it was likely the name to remain the same, although to the international perception, the term could have gained a new connotation, a country with less global influence or a Little Britain. Another matter much talked about was whether Queen Elizabeth II of United Kingdom would remain the independent Scotland. Another matter much talked about was whether Queen Elizabeth II of United Kingdom would remain the independent Scotland. In his white paper that contains the guidelines for a free Scotland, those in favor of separation suggested that Elizabeth II would have to become head of state of the pretended new nation, the same role the monarch play, for example, in cases of Canada, Australia and New Zealand. What would have been the independent Scotland currency? The Scottish leader, Alex Salmond, head of the country's executive and the leader of Yes campaign, said Scotland would continue using the pound as its official currency. But high-ranking London officials rejected this possibility. In case Scotland continued to use pound as its currency, as other nations use the US dollar, London warned that it would not take into account Scotland's need when it decided to design its monetary policy. Another possibility would be adopting the euro, but this would get the interest rates, the financial regulation and fiscal policies probably dictated by external entities. However, the European Union has not confirmed whether it would admit Scotland as a member in case the yes won. What about the oil? According to Salmon, an independent Scotland would possess revenues of up to 13 billion US dollars worth of oil, as the oil reserves in the Northern Sea were seen as the key element to ensure a viable economy in the post-independence period. In his campaigning for yes, Salmon said the country would reach a revenue of about US $13 billion in the 2016-2017 period. The regional government estimates reserves of 24 billion barrels on the offshore. The estimates are based on studies conducted by Alex Kemp, a specialist within Aberdeen University. Meanwhile, other specialist projections were less promising and would put the reserves at 15 million, an opinion shared by the CEO of the Anglo-Dutch Shell, Ben van Beurden. The large companies migrate to where the geology and fiscal incentives are more attractive. Given the limited prospects and new discoveries in the Northern Sea, many companies would concentrate on countries like Angola, Brazil, and Gulf of Mexico. Therefore, avoiding the drain of oil companies would have been one of the major economic challenges for a free Scotland. What would have happened to the border between England and Scotland? Another concern raised by many around the world had to do with the border. Here, the Scottish authorities proposed an open border deal like the one currently existing in Ireland. However, it was difficult to expect the London government would accept a deal with a country that would stand for a substantially different immigration policy. While the British government seeks to restrict new immigrants, Alex Salmond defended a gross rise of 24,000 people a year. If Scotland joined the European Union and adopted the Schengen Accord of free circulation of people for all Europeans, it could be likely that the United Kingdom would want to enforce border controls with the new neighbor. What would happen to United Nations, European Union, and NATO? According to internationalist analysts, the independence would make the adhesion to the European Union difficult and would reduce the relevance of the United Kingdom to the UNO and NATO. Currently, the United Kingdom is part of the United Nations, of the European Union, and of NATO. It was almost certain, according to specialists, that an independent Scotland would be part of the European Union. Some analysts feared that countries with separatist movements like Spain and Belgium would raise difficulties to the process. The European Union Commission President, José Manuel Barroso, told the BBC it would be extremely difficult or even impossible for Scotland to join the European Union. As to NATO, the situation would have been even more complex. An independent Scotland would have to formally apply for its integration into the alliance, which could take 2 to 3 years. But the National Party said that with the victory of the yes, London would have to withdraw from its territory the Trident, UK's most expensive defense project that includes 4 nuclear missile submarines. The Trident program is headquartered in Clyde, west of Scotland. Another hot matter would be UK's UN Security Council seat. A potential split of the United Kingdom would represent an argument for emerging powers like Brazil and India to discuss again the position with veto power within the organization. What would happen to the armed force? The Scotland National Party expected a gradual process to form its own armed force of 15,000 effective members and 5,000 reserves. The plans would involve a new headquarters for the Scottish Armed Force at Faslane Naval Base. The Scotland National Party says that with a budget of more than $3 billion US, equivalent to that of Denmark, the new nation would play a relevant role in peacekeeping missions similar to that of Denmark's troops in Libya. What would happen to BBC in Scotland? Would Scotland opt for independence? The BBC would split. The questions about the separation go further. The Scottish government proposed a deal under which a new national station, SBC, or Scottish Broadcasting Service, would incorporate the BBC assets and personnel in Scotland, in addition to keeping a partnership with the station originating it. SBC would pull in the more than $400 million paid every year by the Scottish resident under the so-called license fee, a tax paid by all British families who own a television set and fund the public station. According to experts, A deal would possibly be reached under which the Scottish continue to pay the license fee, but the Scottish government would pay an extra amount to access all BBC's television, radio, internet, and digital services. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in our next edition.